We'll call the meeting to order so that all board members are present. First, we need a motion to approve the agenda. Moved by Sixberry,
Second.
second by Brown. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any open forums? Okay. We have no open forums. We're moving on to the consent agenda. The previous minutes from the July 23rd regular board meeting, the July 23rd work session, claims in the accounts in the amount of $1,761,935.74. The credit card report, the personnel report, final reading and approval of the policies listed, and approval of the one read policies.
Makes a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion made by Shabilian. Second by Sixberry. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to donations.
I'll make a motion for donations.
Okay. Motion made by Brown. Second by Shabilian. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Discuss commissioners' review and comment.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, as attached to the agenda is the letter that was dated July 17th, 2025 from Commissioner Jett with a positive review of our review and comment. I know we did spend some time at the board table reviewing what we were submitting. This letter affirms and uniquely worded, because it's difficult. Tanya and I, we received this. The way it's worded is unique, but it does say that it is a positive review, so we should be able to proceed. As part of the statute as well, I'm just going to say, because we are supposed to offer from the public an opportunity to speak, so I would offer that at this point. And seeing that there is nobody that is here to speak about the review and comment, we'll just have the notes kind of capture that. But really, basically, this is a procedural item.
Okay. Then we can move on to the next item.
Yes.
Okay. On to activities update.
Yes, and we have Activities Director Mark Queasley here to give some information about the Activities Department, as well as following up later after this, the activities and coaches handbooks. So, Mark, the floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members. Before you this evening is my update for the fall, and I am going to apologize up front. We have home events going on, so hopefully I won't be interrupted. I can remember last year giving my first fall report, and one of the event managers was outside waving at me, trying to get me to finish quickly. But this is your update for fall. As of last spring, I do want to congratulate our athlete Gassman and Lure we had 4 individual state champions last spring. Miss Gassman, I believe that was her 4th state championship in both wheelchair divisions for us, and that's quite an accomplishment for her. And Jack did an awesome job for us as well. So we're very proud of them. It's a great way to finish the spring of the year for Big Lake High School activities. Some goals and department updates. We are kicking off a collaboration with Premier Sports Psychology. I started meeting with Premier last spring. They're out of Edina, and I was looking for a organization, a sports psychology department. I had the unique opportunity with the Mayo Clinic to have them at my fingertips in Rochester when I needed some help, but since coming here, I had to search, and finally I found Premier Sports and started my conversations with them. And then through both the Spud Fest and the High School League Foundation, I came up with some dollars for us to implement my crawl, walk, run phase. And so we are starting with varsity football, girls swim and dive, girls soccer, and volleyball this fall. And we had a coaches meeting. We invited them to the parent athlete coaches meeting as well. And then they had a kickoff the first week of the season with those teams. Girls swim, we have a brand new set of co-head coaches. Girls soccer is in their second year with our head coach. And volleyball was going through some transitions last year. And so they reached out to me. And of course, football also reached out as to how can we change our team culture, team chemistry, confidence, and that mental resilience and readiness. We're finding out that our athletes think they're prepared for contests, but how do we get them to that next level of preparation? And our next follow-up meeting is here the first week of school with those teams, and to take a deeper look at, now that we're a couple of weeks into the season, what's going well, what's not going well for them. And so, again, we're excited about this start. And in the winter season, we're looking at a couple of more teams as well, and then see how many dollars I have left to possibly help our spring sports. Budget process, we're trying to be more and more transparent, not only just with the coaches, with our process of what does activities fund and what does activities not fund, and why do we need fundraising. We also created a Google sheet for our coaches so that they can share their fundraising revenue and their expenditures real time with their booster clubs, so that they have that clear communication back and forth. And we're getting there with the coaches understanding how to manage that balance sheet and that type of thing. But we were inundated with questions over and over about what's our fundraising balance, what's our fundraising balance. And so now we're thinking that we're coming along with that piece. Systemic department, again, an item that I noticed that we were not doing is the head coach was not in charge of the program 7 through 12. And we're really making that headway this year to make sure that the head coach knows what's going on at the 7th grade level, 8th grade level, 9th grade, and on up. And so great conversations there, a little bit more ownership that we're trying to have with those coaches and advisors, because that is their feeder program for them. And I want them to be vested in that system-wide approach. And then, of course, accurate data, and I'll show you some information again. You know, I'm a data person and trying to give you accurate information, and there's a couple of slides that will show you that. And then I think for right now, we'll skip the 2 handbooks and let's slide down to the actual data. Last spring, Board Member Nelson asked me, how many students are on free and reduced lunch versus scholarships? And I told him that I would have that information. So right now, in the fall season, 7th, 8th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, those are the number of students that we have on payment plans so that they can get their fall participation fee paid for. And Emily just works with them for a monthly payment to get to that amount by the end of the season. And that's if they don't reach the threshold for free or reduced lunch pricing. And then the bottom half is those students that are on free or reduced lunch and qualify in that category. When they go to register, they just click a button and it automatically decreases their fee by 50%. So there's no questions asked. I don't know who those students are in that case when they're registering, but it gives you a breakdown, the number of fall students so far that took advantage of that. So hopefully that's good information for you guys. I'm getting a nod from Board Member Nelson. Anything else that you're looking on that by chance, or no?
No, I think this information is great.
Okay.
And I think it's important for us to be able to have that, because as families are coming into our district and as our community is growing, knowing that this information is out there, it might be the difference between a family saying, oh, we can't go to sports, we're embarrassed to ask for that help, and there's a lot of other families that are receiving help. It's okay for us to ask.
Yeah, yeah. And
that's why it's important.
yeah, and our coaches and advisors are also watching their rosters and making sure that if there are students missing, why are they missing in our programming? I think as we talked last spring, the 7th and 8th grade numbers we really want to keep an eye on, because we're at now $125 for them. And we're looking at possibly increasing that for next year, and we'll talk about that in the spring as to whether we want to increase that or not, to get more in alignment with schools of like size in the area. So, okay, good. Spot on with that one. So I went back and collected participation fees based on our registration process that we currently have from 2018, 2019 up until currently. And this is our fall participation. And of course, football and volleyball are just getting started next. Well, football middle school started this week. Volleyball will be next Wednesday for us. So those numbers will fluctuate a little bit yet with our participation numbers. So you can see historically we're right around 420 to 430 over the last 5-6 years. In 2019, right before COVID, we had a great number there of 522. But again, those are our numbers. We're staying pretty steady. I'm not noticing a significant decline any place with our numbers here so far with that piece of it. So, and then some challenges before we go back to the actual items. Again, continuing to clear up some communication from myself and how I'm communicating with our coaches and advisors and how they're communicating with me, even though you have an open door policy. Still, many of the coaches are not in building and getting that access to be able to have conversations with me. I tell them they can call me at any time and any place, and I do get calls at 10:30 at night, 11 o'clock at night to discuss a couple of issues or concerns, but I'd rather have those ahead of time and be able to talk them down off the bridge, that type of thing. So one of the things we're doing as far as communication in our department this fall is I'm trying to protect the professional boundaries between our coaches and advisors and our parents and our students. As we're reading more and more, we're seeing that line becoming more and more blurred all the time. So at the parent-athlete coach meeting the other night and with our coaches and advisors, I've asked them not to text parents or parents to text them. Same with student athletes. I don't want coaches texting back and forth with student athletes. If a parent has a concern, I want them to email our coaches or advisors through the school district email. Legality-wise, we can access that. I'm not asking for personal phones to go back and help us trace or track something if something becomes inappropriate on any side of this fence on this one. And it's been received very well. I will tell you that we've had a couple of coaches who have made mistakes, and I've clearly said, no, this is our process. You can blame me. But when you get a text from a student or a parent, go to your computer and respond and just say, I received your text. Mr. Queasley has asked me to respond on school district email. Here's your response. And so far, the coaches really have liked this because we had a situation last week where 10:30, 10:45 at night, there was a parent that was concerned about why their child didn't participate. That's not a question we need to answer at 10:30 at night. And when they have cell phones and that type of quick communication, nothing good comes from it. I also expressed to the coaches that we need to make sure that if a student ends up in the emergency room or an ambulance is called or something of a medical emergency, you bet we're going to pick up the phone, we're going to make contact, we're going to follow up with those parents with a phone at that time, and that's a great way to be in communication with them for the health and well-being of their child. The coaches are using a Sports U app or Remind Me app that is a phone-based, but it sends it to the child or to the parent, and you can stop that two-way communication. It can be one-way disseminating information. So again, really hoping that this one levels that out for our coaches and advisors who feel like these are part-time jobs with full-time expectations, and having a phone available instantaneously to bother them about non-emergency things, I just don't feel is right. So any questions? Okay.
I just want to say really quick. Oh, I'm sorry, Ashley.
Go for it.
So I had just done a pretty comprehensive training through Safe Sport and NFHS. That was put up by Jim Lord here, I think about a year ago. There seems to be a huge issue, and I'm sure this is part of why you're seeing this, where there's a breakdown in the barrier between students, coaches, and parents and guardians. And it's caused a lot of drama, it's caused a lot of issues, it's caused a lot of miscommunications. So seeing this type of a barrier and some of these types of policies put in place, well done. That I think is going to be really helpful for a lot of our activities in athletics.
Yeah, and the stress is there, both from the child, from the parent, and from the coach. And I'm not trying to put the barrier up. I just think there's an appropriate time to cool down, calm down, and have those conversations versus that immediate response. And the one that I'll give you that happened last week, I read the text message that the coach sent back, and yeah, it was 11 o'clock at night, and I read it 3 times, and I'm like, I don't even understand what you just responded to this parent. So when we jump back in and respond right away, it's not always slow down, relax, and I'm guilty of it too, you know,
It's emotional.
yeah, the emotion is tied to it. Thank you, that's a good way to put it, so, and
I
I'm
was just
sorry.
gonna ask, could you elaborate on the Sports U app? Like, is there like messaging throughout that too? Or
Yep.
is it just for practice times? Is that?
It can be for practice times, bus times, reschedule of events, a variety of things. Some of them, you can even put a PDF file and attach it and send it. I know our swim team, when they went with the Sports U app, they put their handbook out there for the parents even before the season started, so that the kids knew coming in what some of those expectations were. So it's got a variety of tools with it, and there isn't one that's universally recommended. It's kind of like all these other different softwares out there, but yeah, so.
Is that available to all of your
Yep,
activities?
yep,
Or I mean, do they
yep.
have to pay through their booster clubs to be a part of it?
Nope,
Or is that all
that's-
within
that's,
its package deal?
It's just an app that there's no fee involved with it, so.
I did have a question too. So if you eliminate the two-way like communication through these apps, reminders.
Yep.
What, just for instance, like if there's ever an issue on an overnight or a weekend, how would a parent ever be able to reach out to a coach if like they're not able to find a student athlete or that somebody's not where they're supposed to be, that kind of thing?
So an example of the Sports U app, right now, a parent or a student can send a message directly back to the coaches, and they can see it, but I'm expressing to the coaches, don't respond back, go to a computer and sit down and think about and read it and type it out, right? So there is that two-way communication that can take place as
I
well
thought you
too.
said turn it off, so
Yeah,
that's where
no,
my
no,
question
no,
was.
So-
sorry,
So the coaches are allowed to respond within that app?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can respond individually, or you can respond to a group or global. So there are different tiers.
And this is falling very closely in with the training that I had done recently, which is coming out of an incident that happened down in Dallas, Texas earlier in the spring, where communication can be had, like what Mark had said, with if there's an emergency, like you have the cell phone communication, you have all your emergency contact information, but this is to break apart and separate and allow the coaches to coach and the students to be athletes, is where that's coming from. So, and I think this is a really good step for that.
Thanks, I've been toying with this for quite a while.
can't
and-
imagine
and-
it's gonna be
And
a
then
easy
also, we're
transition.
trying to get our coaches not to friend kids on Instagram, any of that social media stuff. What's happens in your life outside of school and education is for you, and you shouldn't have students that are friending you on those different accounts either, so, but. Leadership style, again, I'm trying to figure out a leadership style that works in this community and how I lead our student athletes and our coaches and advisors versus previous people, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just more of a different relationship type of a person, and I feel over time that I'm making headway with that, with people within this community of what are our expectations globally within our department. Try to look at things at 50,000 feet, not just single focused, that type of thing. And then lastly, we're looking at some of the barriers that still exist, as Board Member Nelson mentioned, with free and reduced lunches and/or barriers. I'm trying to get coaches to take a look at those athletes or those students when they come into their activity. Are they missing shoes? Are they missing, not getting their clothes washed on a regular basis? Are they not getting meals? And those types of things. And how can we help those students feel even more a part of an inclusive environment as possible? So, okay. So any questions before I jump back to the handbooks?
Can I go back to, is it sports that when you're doing the free and reduced, you're saying that they're pushing a button and it's minusing down to 50%?
Correct.
Is that the standard for everything? Because if you're free or you're reduced.
Correct. It's just a
different. Is that-
50% reduction. And no
Okay.
matter what the activity is,
Is that
it's a
comes-
50% reduction.
Okay, and that came from like the Mississippi, I mean. where does
That
come
was
from?
just something we must have landed on here before I got here, is that we would reduce the fee 50% if the student qualified. So it's not necessarily a toggle button that they push, it's just when they go to do their checkout, it automatically reduces their fee 50%. Whether they wanted it to or not, it did, or it does it for them.
So the program understands.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, I get that part, but I'm a little concerned about what if they still can't afford the.
Then they make contact with us.
Okay,
Yeah.
and they know that? I
Yep,
mean,
yep,
you
it
know.
says right in our
Okay.
registration as a step-by-step
Okay.
process that, yeah.
So
Thank
could
you.
some of those 50% people also be on your payment plan?
Not in those numbers. We have
Okay.
them separated out separately.
okay.
So, yeah.
So, but they could, some of those students could also be on a payment plan, they're just
Mm-hmm.
not in that other group.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's just
Got
that, it's, it's how do they work past that, feeling,
Yeah,
being able to
And board-
ask or, yeah.
I think every district, I don't want to say struggles with this, but knows this barrier is real. Because the free and reduced lunch names, numbers are private and they can't be shared with just anybody in the district. We have a special bridge in the software package that allows that to happen, and many of the student registration software packages have that bridge so that we're not sharing confidential information about a student.
I'm
Or-
just
or parent
surprised
guardian.
either statewide or nationwide, there's no particular,
Standard.
standard. Thank you. That's a
I
good
think
one.
it'd be really hard to do that with school districts because some school districts are financially struggling much more than others, especially in certain departments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's where they have to give some liberty to the school district.
I found it interesting, just last week, I got a screenshot of Fridley Public Schools, and they went free, no participation fees this year, as a way to try and increase their numbers. Because I know that that community has really been struggling, the superintendent's been really working hard. She was in Rochester with me when I was there, and she really wants to see kids participate, and they just were not getting. So it'll be interesting to see how much progress they make for those.
Are they at high free and reduced area?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That helps.
Mark, I just want to jump in really quick before I text you this question before and Tanya and I were corresponding too. I just want to remind the people, if you are listening, that tickets for 62 and older, it's free admission
Correct.
for events. I think I
Correct.
just, as kind of a nuts and bolts type thing, just for our information. So if you
Say
were,
that because of me.
you're not.
You're right, I'm not.
Or
You're
even
right.
plus. So I just wanted to make sure, because that was just a little piece of information. We were having that conversation, and I checked with
Yep.
you, and then you sent me that, and,
Yep.
and I just wanted to
Every
remind
one of our
people.
tickets, when people go in to purchase, there's a little yellow banner, and it says 62 and over, free admission.
That's very
So,
cool.
yeah. Okay. So the student activities handbook is what we'll start with here. And I went through and just highlighted in red some of the changes that I made. Of course, the middle school participation fee on page 5 is going to be new, and we'll see where that one goes for us. We raised it, and again, we'll see what we want to do in years to come. Under page number 7, I added a statement about how even as adults and the students, we need to be respectful of our game officials. They're doing the best they can, and to try and treat them appropriately as we go with our contests and that type of thing. So that's a small addendum. And then under page 8, I took some wordage, some verbiage on what I call dual rostering. In this district, it's called multi-sport participation. And we had to question this fall. Let's say a football coach wants a soccer player to come kick field goals on a soccer team. I want to determine that there is a primary sport and a secondary sport. So the primary sport has first say on that student athlete for practice, competition, and then that keeps the coaches away from, well, he's mine on Friday nights. No, I got a soccer game. And so we take that away from them, and it's already predetermined if we have a student that wants to do this and the parent and guardian also understands. And then also in this one, students participating at the varsity, junior varsity, B squad, and 9th grade level cannot participate on a non-school team during their high school season. That is critical this year, that I continue to send that messaging that with the 9th grade participation now at the high school level, that is something that a student athlete cannot do. And then page 9, a little clarification for our school administrators. If we are going to an away event and the students are being dismissed from school to go to that away event, if an athlete is suspended, ineligible, or the administrator says, no, they got to stay in school, they're going to stay in school. I feel it's wrong that if a student is failing a class, last hour of the day, but yet they get up and are able to walk out the door. That's not the type of messaging we want to send with our teachers. And so that's an added piece for that one. And the same when we're talking from the year end carrying over. Now, if it's a spring sport athlete and they fail spring semester, in the fall they have one game suspension. And that's a clarification. Trimester 1 and trimester 2, it's a 2-game suspension for the student if they are carrying on. Next part is we expect, I think this aligns great. I'm on page 9. This aligns great with the new part of the state statute and making sure our kids are in class. This is their job, and they are expected to be in class and on time for class every single period of the day. You can't show up for a football game 10 minutes late and walk into the huddle and say, I'm here. You can't do that in the classroom either. So that's one of the things that the administration likes, how we're trying to clean that up as well. And again, fostering the importance of students being in the classroom with that one.
Question real quick about that part. How is that going to be tracked and enforced? So
We have daily attendance sheets, and at least in the high school, we're really trying to take a look at that daily attendance and see where those students are and where they're not. Chances are, for our students involved in activities, it's probably going to be maybe 5, 6 kids that are abusing it. And so it'd be real easy for us to have those conversations with those students. So I feel that one, where I come from, we're doing a lot better than my previous district when it comes to being late for class, especially. So
How about non-staff, like how do non-teachers, are they able to
just
see?
gonna ask that.
yeah, we're working on that daily attendance report for our coaches and advisors, whether they're in the building or not in the building. And if that means at the end of the day, I have to take a screenshot and send it to them so they have it on their cell phone, we will do that. So that piece we're looking at very closely as well as to how we can communicate that out and be consistent with it. So
The other thing when I read this, and I'm sorry, wasn't clear to me, is like, it says the only exception would be student receives prior approval from activities director or building principal. But I mean, an excused absence, like a doctor's appointment, dentist appointment, that would be included as well. 'Cause it
Correct.
doesn't say why I just wanted to make
Correct.
sure. 'Cause you didn't want it to be available or the principal to excuse that, that would just happen by the office staff, right? Correct, so I just wanna make sure I'm understanding.
Yeah, in fact, normally when a coach, and what I've seen so far is when a student is going to be gone, the coach or advisor sends it to me, and if it's a funeral, doctor's appointment, dentist appointment, I'll say absolutely, that's an approved absence. So they are allowing me to make that decision on their daily attendance piece as well, so. And then the other one on page 11 on the bottom is the captain's practice, or excuse me, captainship. Again, we want our captains to be role models in the classroom, in the hallways, practice game settings, and in our community. We want them to be good citizens, so we're, again, continuing to foster that piece. We also have a travel release form on the next page that I put in place. It's a Google form, so the parent with their phone or whatever, if they want to take their child home, they can go onto the Google form, submit it, and I can go in and approve them. And then I do that on a daily basis so that the coaches can look at it and say, yep, Mr. Queasley's approved that, so that you can travel to, from, or both as, with a parent. We just wanted to make that convenient because we didn't want pieces of paper going back and forth between everybody and wasting paper and those types of things. Lettering, a little bit of clarification. If an athlete has a chemical violation during the season, they're going to lose their athletic letter. And they could end up losing their postseason awards because many of the Coaches Association awards and the conference awards say if there's a chemical violation during the season, that student's not eligible for those end of postseason. And so as I have those students and going through that process of talking with them about their bump in the road, I will talk with them specifically about what awards that they are not going to be having the opportunity. And again, these are explained in the parent-athlete coach meetings, so. Team limitations. Again, our coaches are there to evaluate the social, emotional, physical, and educational well-being of our students. And the coaches will have the autonomy to move students from one level to the other during the regular season. And then when it comes to postseason, they will determine that postseason roster and or relay teams. And they're going to do it with their best intention and use the data that they have, if at all possible, to make those decisions. So again, in the parent-athlete coach meetings, I talk about you might be varsity this week, but guess what? There's somebody on junior varsity that wants your spot, and they're going to work hard. And if they take your spot, they've outworked you. They've outperformed you. It's not a personal situation where we don't like you. It's just the attrition of what we're trying to do to try and create the best competitive balance that we can in our programming. And yes, that last sentence about coaches will determine postseason rosters and relays, I've lived it, breathed it, tried to been sued over it and all those kinds of things, but it's one of those that we need to allow that to happen. So moving up and down levels again, if we have a seventh or eighth grader that is going to be promoted, we're not going to just bring them to the ninth grade level. They must be at the B squad, JV, or varsity level, and this is a little clarity to this. I don't want them to be brought up to set on the bench where the coach says, oh, they're going to be, they'll benefit from practice. No, we want them, if they're going to move up, we want them as an impact player or a student athlete that's coming off the bench. And if they're not that high a level, let's leave them where they are socially, emotionally, physically, and let them have some success. So, and then some clarity. We've talked about the communication with parents. This next part is for students and parents with cell phones and use of cell phones. And then event and game management. I just want to clarify that we're trying to follow the high school league rule on page 16 where students cannot go to and from events. If they leave an event, they're done under what the high school league expects us. And if an adult leaves the event, they have to purchase a ticket. So then it's standard from school district to school district with those ticketing expectations. And the league likes that because when we get to postseason, they don't have a different standard for ticketing than the regular season. So, and then crisis plans, we're trying to make sure our coaches know where all the AEDs are located, and we have them in the practice facilities, game facilities with our athletic trainer. And then I believe my last part is overnight trips. We do not search equipment bags or travel bags as administrators or coaches or advisors. So I usually send this out to the coach if we're going on an overnight trip, that they're responsible for looking at their child's equipment bags and their travel bags to make sure there's nothing illegal in those. And if there is a situation where it becomes aware of us or we see it, then we're gonna end up having to deal with it. And we will have to deal with it based on the laws within that city, laws within that community, or laws within that state. So that's something that's very important. In Wisconsin, if a student is caught with a chemical and they're law enforcement's brought in, it's an automatic $1,500 fine and the student is in jail for the remainder of the season. And so, or remainder of the season, remainder of the weekend or whatever it might be until parents get there. And also I want to make sure parents, when this happens, our coaches need to be responsible for the remaining 20 students. And now mom and dad, your child is your responsibility. So if they're detained by law enforcement and they're in the chokey, as I say, then they're gonna have to come to wherever as quickly as they can to deal with that situation. So, again, it's just clarity for our parents, caregivers, that we wanna work with you, but we are bound by certain standards. So, any questions on this handbook here?
With all this being implemented this year, have you gotten any pushback from parents or anyone yet?
This one, I started using this statement last year.
Okay.
When we had a few overnight trips, that it wasn't in the handbook yet, and not one question about it. So,
That's awesome.
I think coaches have, I mean, on the set, this has been done on the set, I've seen it happen.
Yeah, I'm just talking in general between communication and everything else that's been put out.
Something that they're not allowed to have. I don't know about bringing in law enforcement, but that's the consent home with the parents. I've seen that happen.
well, and when a coach is calling me at what hour of the night or day it is, and if it's an illegal substance, I'll say, make your call to law enforcement, call the, we have to do, if law enforcement tells us, just call the parent, have the parent come and we'll talk through it with them, that's their jurisdiction to make that decision, not us. But I
Got
do
it.
believe we really have to make sure that we follow the state laws or the county enforcements of what is expected, so. Good question though, so.
I'm wondering if if it could benefit from some clarification in the communication section, since there is that Sports U app that is allowed to have communication between player and student, and if there's a, for lack of a better word, texting function within that app, if there should be some clarification within that section that is also an approved method to communicate.
Yep, I can add that app,
Email or
an
district approved app.
application process. In fact, I can probably lean on our technology to help me come up with what might be an appropriate sentence to add there, but yeah, okay.
I was gonna bring up the under communication as well. You have specifically texting and with cell phones for parents, guardians, students, completely get that. But I would recommend, would you consider adding social media onto there as well? There's a lot of our coaches in our community came from our community. They may already have parents on social media, and you may have parents that look at that and go, well, I can't text them, but I'm gonna shoot them a message on Facebook. And we don't want us to have our coaches caught off guard and then a parent pushing the issue of, well, it only says text.
Okay, yeah, very good point. I can add that too.
And the other question that I had was, have you considered at all the approach when you have parents that are also board members with booster clubs and things like that, where there may be a lot more gray area in how they're communicating with the coaches. Just how to have that more effective communication, so one conversation doesn't start about something with their booster club and a fundraiser, and then it carries on to why is Johnny not having more playing time on the basketball court?
So far, from what I've seen from coaches, is when they get an email about a booster club item, they loop me in because sometimes it has to do with communication with me. So I think they are really trying to set that parameter, even with their booster clubs, so that
Awesome.
it's email based versus a quick text. I know I had coaches that are brand new this fall, and I'd get an epistle from them on text message, and I'd like, please send this to me in an email. And they're like, oh, yeah, you know, and then so they would, because I think there's certain things that easier for me to respond via email than to try and send back in text. So, but I'll even do that with the coaches myself, is say, this needs to be followed up with an email to me rather than text me what you're concerned about, so,
Oh, those are awesome boundaries.
yeah. Okay. All right. Coach Advisor Handbook. There are some items in this one that I'll just state from the beginning that I know are under contract negotiations, so I have them already in red, but I didn't want to necessarily take them out. So, but again, as we look at page 3, it's the social media, or the texting piece, and I'll make sure that the communication or the verbiage in this is the same as our other handbook when we're talking about texting back and forth. And then also I added, since I'm a wrestling kind of guy here, bodily fluids on page, I think, our coaches and advisors need to be wearing rubber gloves when they're dealing with bodily fluids. And we just never know what that student has for an issue, an ailment, that type of thing. And so this part was missing in our information, and I really want to make sure that the coaches and advisors slow down and put on rubber gloves when they're working with those types of things.
Are we like as a school district then, are we providing those to all the coaches?
Yep, they're in their first aid kit already. Yep, that they carry with them. So, or on Matt's side too. So, related expenses, we're talking about reimbursement from the high school league. The Minnesota, when our kids go to a state tournament, the Minnesota State High School League does not replenish us dollar for dollar. It's quarters, nickels, and dimes on the dollar is what we get back from them when someone goes to a state tournament. So I think that's important for our coaches to understand is that, you know, if we have $60 a meal a day for our coaches, we're not going to get $60 a day back from the high school league. And that's based on who is actually participating in those events. So just some clarity, working with the coaches on that as we qualify. All-state recognition, again, in the past, when a team goes to a state tournament, there sometimes is an awards banquet as part of that. Well, we're not reimbursed for that as our trip to a state tournament. So that's an expenditure for us that we either absorb. And so I want to make sure that our booster clubs or our fundraising, if we're going to do those things, how can we offset it with those kinds of dollars rather than it being funded by the department. And then expenditures, we're trying to align this now of how we're reimbursing coaches and advisors when they go to a state tournament or when they want to register for a coach's clinic. We set the registration at $150 and meals at $60 a day, which basically you break that out and that's 3 meals at $20. And that's, I believe that's pretty appropriate for what we're doing. And then that, again, that gives us a standard where we're at with those. And then currently, this is one of the parts that a high school coach or an advisor can go to one day of the state tournament, receive reimbursement for their tickets, mileage, and that's part of the negotiation process that's been a past practice. I don't know if that'll stay or not. And then also, later on, so then I'm gonna go down to, page number 9. This one, I know it's under review, but I'm gonna just spend a moment of time talking about this one. I learned last year, kind of the hard way, if you're an assistant coach in a sport, you only go to the next step in lane when you become a head coach. So it might be an increase of like $300. Well, if I have 7 years of experience as a coach in that sport, and if I get 7 years of experience as a head coach, it might be $1,000 or $1,500 difference. And there's a lot of difference between being an assistant coach and being a head coach. And so I've asked the union to take a deeper look at that. So in the discussions with this group, I don't know where they're gonna land on this step and lane change for coaches and or advisors, and how they're being placed. Does that make sense or no? Okay. And then same with different sports experience, with coach or advisor. I'm not necessarily a proponent that says if you've been a club coach, you should get your same years of experience as a school coach, because sometimes club coaches coach 2 days a week, where our coaches are 5 or 6 days a week. So I think there's a significant difference there too. So, but again, I'll keep you abreast as to how that pans out with those discussions. And then, other than that, most of the rest of the items were just cleanups about end of season conversations with head coaches and assistant coaches. I really want the head coach to help me with where they're at with their assistant coaches at the end of the season. And now I'm on page 20. At the end of the season, I'm finding also that our coaches feel like they have to have an elaborate banquet for their sport or activity, and they really don't. And this talks about they may schedule a postseason gathering, but again, the coach or advisor is responsible for just handing out the awards, certificates, and the actual chenilles. They don't have to go to rent a facility and have a sit-down meal and those types of things. So hopefully that will alleviate some of the pressures that booster clubs are trying to help fund that, and they really don't, quote, necessarily have to. And then my change is I took maybe 10, 15 pages out, and I put them all in hyperlinks on page 23 there, so that if they need the fundraising form, if they need to become a member of the Coaches Association, how to purchase something, are all hyperlinks now rather than forms that we need to update on a yearly basis. So, any questions on this one? Okay.
So, sorry, so all those red suggestions, it won't be submitted to your coaches until the negotiation component is correct?
Anything
or
on the
finished,
steps,
or-
lanes, salaries, and reimbursement, I'm gonna hold out and keep that in red until our process is done in the negotiations.
So will it be uploaded to the intranet or whatever, in this current form, or in
I
its
don't know.
previous
When
form?
do you think you're gonna settle?
It'll be a little bit.
So,
I just want to make sure there's clarity, because I don't want it to become a situation where people feel like we've taken something away from them that they had already.
well, currently,
Negotiated.
from
Does
what
that
I'm
make sense?
understanding is, we're working without a contract, so those items that were previously there are not there. So right now, if I needed to upload this, I can certainly strike through it, upload it, and then so people will know, our coaches and advisors will know that language is, if they have a question.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like
Okay.
there needs to be some sort of explanation that
Okay.
this is pending language, or is, I personally, I would feel more comfortable just wasn't in there, and we add it once we've settled.
Okay.
But
Okay.
that's.
I can do that too.
I'm just one voice, but I just,
So negotiated, it truly
it
is.
really is, and I just don't want anything to be seen as previously decided.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
we've already decided that. What,
Yeah.
you know, why are you not going with that? So I would
Yeah.
rather.
Well, and
just not
again,
have
thank
that
you for
on
your
there.
input on both of these documents here tonight. It's been very helpful, and I think what I'll do is I'll take all that language, pull it out, and reload it without it in there so that I do have it available for our coaches and advisors to be able to use for current information, so, okay. All right, awesome. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you. Angie, financial report.
Good evening, school board members. Go on to the first slide, we'll talk about enrollment. And I actually checked enrollment as of this morning, or no, I'm sorry, this afternoon. And that kindergarten 213 as of last week, that is now 217 as of the end of the day today. We had budgeted 222, so we're almost there. Overall, I'm a bit concerned about our enrollment right now, that we may be a little short at the start of the school year. However, that being said, we typically gain students in Big Lake Online throughout the year. So I'm not too concerned yet, but just did want to share with the board, I guess, what I'm seeing right now. That it's not as robust as it was last year at this time. Let's put it that way.
How far off?
But like I said, we usually gain kids in Big Lake Online. So I'll just report every month like I usually do.
How far off are we from that
I,
3115?
if I had to speculate right now, I'd say we're about 20 to 25 students short. Again, it's not a large amount. And like I said, we always gain in Big Lake Online.
And there's
throughout the year.
probably some people that haven't registered yet for this
Yeah,
year.
and that does happen. Sometimes we get kids registering the first day of school.
There's a lot of people still moving too, like there's been tons of houses for
Yeah.
sale and sold recently.
What was the projected for kindergarten? Do you have that number?
222 is what we had budget. Yeah, so we had 213, but again, as of today, as of the end of I think I checked about 4:30 today, it was at 217. So we're not too far off. And we still
5
might
more
get
could
some.
still show up.
Yeah,
first
we
day.
still might get some that show up, exactly.
And I do want to just, I mean, I've been signing enrollment forms pretty consistently here the past couple of weeks too, or this week for sure. So today I signed a stack too. I don't know what the status, they might just be current. I don't really know all of that,
Yeah.
if it's actually a net gain or not. But I do know that those enrollment is a little bit soft right now because we
Yeah.
don't really have the firm.
Yeah, and we're below like student counts of last year, but we should, because if you remember, I budgeted a decline because we had a large graduating grade 12 versus kindergarten. So it is expected that we would be below what we were last year at this time, just because of that large 12th grade class. So this is just a reminder of what the board approved back in June, and no budget revisions at this time. And I probably won't be presenting any until probably November at the earliest, but nothing has been alarming me or anything like that so far. I mean, the biggest thing we're tracking right now is the enrollment. Financial audit update, they were here in July for, I think, 2 or 3 days, and they did some virtual and on-site. No issues or findings. They got a lot done. I felt like I was running around for 2 to 3 days, but where we're at right now, financial year-end data from MDE is slow this year. They've had a couple retirements. So I feel like I'm in a holding pattern. I did get one report here a couple days ago on Gen Ed aid. So, but it's just a little bit slower this year. But we are still scheduled for our final field work the week of September 29th. And I typically have a good idea by the October board meeting of where our fund balances are going to end up. So I'll update you at that time where we are looking. And the next item that is keeping me busy right now is we are starting the levy process, Pay 26. So I just completed a bunch of data submitted to MDE here this month. Again, slow in coming. The system opened up 2 weeks late, but we get it done. Our first look at our levy for, again, Pay 26 would be revenue in 26-27. We will get reports on September 8th. I did send an email to Finance Committee members that I'd like to have a meeting before the next board meeting, because I usually do go over the levy with Finance Committee members. So if you could take a look at your email and just get back to me, I'd appreciate it. And yeah, so then the preliminary levy will be approved at the September 24th regular school board meeting. And I just want to mention one more thing before I conclude with tonight's financial report. We had a retirement in our office on July 31st. She did not want to come to a board meeting and be recognized. And she would not be happy with me if she knew I was doing this, but I would like to formally recognize Kathy Wells. She had been here many years. Very, very dedicated employee. I just can't tell you enough how dedicated she was. She had a motto of that I always strive for excellence, and she did do that. And I just want to congratulate her and best wishes to her in her retirement. And with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Thank you for that, Angie. Any questions for Angie? Okay. I will make a motion to approve the financial report.
I'll second.
Second by Nelson. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Angie. Big Lake Community Food Shelf Agreement approval.
Oh my goodness, Madam Chair, members of the board, I am really pleased and excited to have this before you today. I know, working with Sandy, as well as attorneys on both sides, we've got it down to a point to where it's agreeable on both sides. I can assure you, I have spent time with our attorney reviewing this. Everything is in order, protects the district. Also took very seriously the fact that this is a long-term agreement, 15 years to be exact. But it is what is necessary for all sides to kind of be mutually moving forward in a partnership. And I think it's a good agreement. And, you know, obviously I sent it out as soon as I had it yesterday. Hopefully I had a chance to review it. Otherwise, at this time, I would recommend approval of the agreement. And what will happen after this evening is I'll give Sandy the thumbs up, and then she'll take it to her board. They'll do a special board meeting, and they'll do an election based on whatever their bylaws and rules abide by. So, again, no indicators saying that they would not approve this, but we're just the first approving body at this time. So at this time, I recommend approval of this agreement.
I will make a motion to approve the youth services program agreement.
Okay, motion made by Shabilian,
I'll second.
second by Nelson. Any other questions? And this was regular vote. correct? Yep. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Review employee handbook.
Yes, Madam Chair, I've got this one too. Sue is actually here if you have specific questions, but essentially, besides dates and names changes, there were only a few changes that were made this year, largely as a result of the local 284 negotiating, including on like the employee obligations during emergencies, adding a note that custodians can take personal or vacation on an e-learning and closures that was negotiated and agreed upon, as well as also ESST notice, which was also part of that in the statute, and change to accruals for part-time and partial year employees. And then we also added a workplace accident and injury reduction program known as AWARE, spelled differently, due to the change in Minnesota OSHA, and added some, also a section on reporting safety concerns. Otherwise, essentially, it was the same employee handbook, so it's reflective of that. So I thank Sue for all the work on this, obviously staying up to speed on legislative. So again, I believe this is just a review item, so procedural. As always, because it is a handbook, you know, obviously if there's situations that come up and we arise, we obviously take that into consideration and update accordingly if we need to. So.
Okay. Any questions on the employee handbook? Okay, on to TJ. Approved management plan for lead in water.
Hope you're excited.
Hope you're excited.
All right, so what I have before you is just an updated lead and water management plan that I need approved. We started working on this last year a little bit because the state MDH was making some changes. kind of the biggest change from our previous lead in water management plan is a reduction in the amount of allowable lead for a first initial draw sample. Went from 20 parts per billion down to 5, which is lower than what the city is regulated to discharge into the city supply. A little interesting, but we'll deal with it. Probably one of the biggest changes you'll see is in the restrooms. We've placed stickers that say non-potable water. It's for 2 reasons. Number one, you shouldn't be drinking water from a public restroom hand sink. And it's a hand sink in a public restroom. And if we were to test that, those faucets are not built to the same quality as what you would use for regular drinking water. So if you want to have them exempt from testing, you have to label them as not designated for potable water.
So we're not supposed to drink out of the hand sinks.
I definitely see.
Or any other fixtures in the restroom.
I had just asked him that because in my own classroom, I have a sticker now by
Oh, in
my,
your classroom?
in my classroom at my sink. So I went, oh, there must be something new in. So Tim said
Do
it
you
was
have a,
new.
do you have a drinking fountain?
No, it's just
attached to
a-
your sink?
Nope. Nope.
So they're just trying to save some money, because it is
Yeah,
expensive to do the testing.
yeah, they're on every single sink except the water bottle fillers. It says that, so.
It's like $30 a fixture, and
Yeah.
like at Independence, every single classroom has
And
2
our building
fixtures.
has one in every single classroom.
At Liberty, there's some classrooms that have 5 or more, so,
Yeah.
and you have to do it every 5 years. So we just need formal board approval. We've already started reacting to the state's changes, so this is just kind of more of a formality.
So this doesn't include any data that you're there's no action items taken in here. This is just your plan.
This is just the management plan. We've already been reacting to it, and we also have lead and water testing results available online on our website. So we do those every 5 years. Independence is due again. And we actually just did, last summer, we did a bunch of follow-up testing because of the changes. We went back to any fixtures that passed before but would fail under the new, and we corrected those and then retested them, which a lot of them were actually ones that they were just slightly elevated, what they had gotten new fixtures as part of the renovation, so they passed with flying colors.
Excellent.
So,
Okay,
Second.
moved by Sixberry, second by Shabilian. Any other discussion? All in favor? Oh, resolution, roll call vote. Okay, Shabilian?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Reasoner, aye. Sixberry?
Aye.
Hancock?
Aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
Okay, the resolution passes.
Thank you.
Oh, that's okay.
Sorry. I have to go on.
Resolution for the next one.
Yes.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
We can do
Doubly.
roll call
We got it
vote.
covered.
No,
It's
only
doubly
one.
covered.
That was a resolution.
Yeah, I apologize. That was
That's
on me.
okay.
That one's on me, people.
That's
I had
okay.
to make sure you were awake.
We'll be ready for the next one.
There it is.
Guys, we're ready for the next
All
one.
right, good practice,
We're
team.
prepared.
All right. Madam Chair, yes, I have the next one. Last month, we had a resolution appointing, basically seeking out and trying to find election judges and absentee ballot board members. Before you is a resolution actually identifying the names of the individuals that are listed there within it. And again, just a reminder of our combined polling place at Saron Lutheran on November 4th, and names are listed there. At this time, I just recommend approval by resolution of these judges and absentee ballot board members.
Moved by Sixberry,
Second.
second by Nelson. Any other questions? Okay, roll call vote. Shabilian?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Reasoner, aye. Sixberry?
Aye.
Hancock?
Aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
The resolution passes.
Good job, guys.
That was smooth.
Because we had practice
We
before.
had practice, yeah, see?
On to set November 12th canvas to the November 4th special election.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, this is just because of the timing that we're required to wait until after the election, the November 12th date. Typically, we would have had our work session already, but because of the canvassing timeline, we're hoping that November 12th can be established as a canvassing session and then follow it up with a work session.
Does that work for people, November 12th?
It's already on my calendar. We're good.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. Okay. Right, Tech?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did just change that.
Okay,
And that is an action item, we better.
okay. I will make a motion to set the November 12th canvas for the November 4th special election, followed by the work session. Second by Sixberry. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Approved time change for September 24th board meeting.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, I mentioned this last month, I believe. I am requesting that we shift the start time for next month's board meeting back a half hour because the city meeting times are the same as ours. That would allow me time to go there at 6 o'clock, and I was assured to be there on the early so that we could be back in time to start it, but it would, at 7 o'clock would be safer for us to have a start time. So I'm requesting that we formally approve the start time for next month's board meeting to start at 7 instead of 6.
So that we can attend the city council meeting at 6 o'clock. Okay. I will make a motion to approve the time change for the September 24th meeting to 7 o'clock.
Second?
Second by Nelson. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. School board committee representative updates, finance, we haven't met. Policy, we haven't met because there's a whole bunch of one reads that didn't need anything. Buildings and grounds,
Haven't met.
No, not since last.
nope.
I think it's important though that TJ goes over what you had.
Yep.
You want me to,
Let's do it during my report, if that's okay? If that's okay from the
Sure,
department?
I just
Okay.
I don't think we should go away
Yep.
from it.
It's on
No.
my list, yep. we
It's
got
on,
that. Yep.
okay. Any other committees, meetings?
Oh, yeah, communication. Yeah. Yeah, and I will talk about the communications thing during my report a little bit, if that's okay.
Yep.
So,
So there, I don't think there are any
Okay.
reports. It was a quiet month.
it was a quiet month.
Okay. Superintendent report.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, I do have a few items. First of all, I want to notify the board that our work sessions will now be held in this space, not the space next door, because that's a classroom this year. So I just want to let people know that. Kim will report, will actually post accordingly. And then Minda has a couple things that she needs to visit with the board about from a department update.
Yes, so I just want to let you know, we had 21 new teachers participate in our new teacher workshops last week, and a nice balance across all of our buildings and different, still a little sped heavy, but a nice balance of teachers and very exciting. We did a new teacher orientation where we gave them a little bit more time and guidance and support rather than drowning them by fire hose with information, and got really good feedback from that. We are in the middle of back to school workshops, and so we've had a couple of wonderful days and have 2 more yet to go. So excited for this year. We are leaning into district efficacy, that together we can all do better. And so I told everybody we're going to do #WeDidThat. And so together we are really exploring what we can all do when we all believe that we can all do better with the kids. Our annual PD plan, just so that you know, we're doing a blend of district and building with literacy, instructional practices, leaning heavily on curriculum alignment, assessment, and all the things that brings, that we've been purchasing new curriculum. We want to make sure that we're trained well and implementing well. And so we're doing a lot of that. And then culture and wellness will also be blended in there. And then I just wanted to do a REDACT update because this has usually been since we're on REDACT 3.0. So we will continue with letters training for the second year for those K2 classroom teachers, K5 SPED teachers will continue in the second year. All of our new teachers, regardless, are going to go through the 1-year OLA. And that's because we now have a better foundation of literacy in our district, that's a good platform for them to go into. We're also adding CAPTI Read Basics for 412 screener for characteristics of dyslexia. So you'll hear more about that as the year goes on. And secondary literacy training is pushed to next year. So ends my report.
Thank you.
And then we do have another department update. I'm just gonna have TJ maybe just give a quick update on middle school and anything else that is important in his world.
mainly just middle school.
Okay.
So, yeah, a little update on middle school. We do have network up and running. John and I worked on that last Thursday. that is up and running. We've got temp wall in place. They've got to put a couple of horn strobes on the temp wall for the fire alarm. And then we should be good for occupancy for the rest of the building. Not occupancy of the space, of course. They're working on a temp door for where the future additional fire exit will be placed on the outside of kind of the glass curtain wall for the media center, because we had to add an exit door there, and they will use that as a temporary entrance. Right now, it's just a matter of getting some concrete poured, and that is looking like Thursday is the pour day for that. So it's been a bumpy road filled with potholes, but we're getting there.
We are getting there. And I just,
Buckle up and hang on tight.
and I just will say this too. I mean, John and TJ and all the other people, and Mark Ernst too as well. Their leadership has been great. I've been attending those meetings since early August, and I think their expertise and we got to get this done. We got to get this done has been very helpful. So even though there's a wall, it is this week when I went to walk through it, you could kind of see like it taking shape.
Yeah.
And it actually it felt pretty good to see it taking shape.
It's starting to
not
look like
done.
something.
It is starting to look like something. So that's positive. But unfortunately, it is going to be delayed for a few weeks here. But they're working hard, and these two are staying on top of it. So.
Yep. So
Were there some spaces still getting new flooring or something in that also?
there was some special ed spaces that we wanted to remodel, but we're gonna have to wait till next year.
Okay, for some reason I was thinking that you said that flooring was gonna happen, and I just wanted to see if that actually did or not. Or
In
like
the new
that
space.
may-
In the new
new
space,
space,
that'll
okay.
get all new flooring.
Yeah, but not anywhere else. Okay, I just was wondering if something was started, if it was gonna be finished on time. It sounds like no.
Yeah, no,
Okay, I might be remembering something wrong.
yeah, because originally we had looked at redoing some flooring and adjusting some restrooms and kind of some walls in the
Yeah.
special ed area. However, with their progress, by the time they started before they even officially given us the number to add that to the contract, we could see the writing on the wall, and I looked at Walt and I said, not happening. I said, Nope.
No, I remember we pulled all that back.
Yeah, we did.
I don't know,
Yeah.
for some reason I was thinking.
So that'll be a standalone project next year.
Mhm.
That'll add a little bit of additional expense potentially, but it might also save some money, so.
Mhm.
Or at least we may be able to get the scope a little bit fine tuned and perform a few things that we wouldn't have been able to do this summer. We could do next year because we'd be able to plan for it, so.
But there's
Hopefully
some
there's some
safety
silver lining.
issue, with holding it up. No, there's nothing wrong
With, what's that?
with what you're will replace. I mean,
Like
The special ed
rooms,
area
they're
needs
just continuing
casework,
to-
it needs some door access stuff and whatnot, just to make it
Upgrades.
easier for student management and for the staff.
But it's
Kind of
not
staff
safe,
safety.
it's basically something, it
To
would
enhance
stay
the
in,
area.
yes, it would stay the way it has been operating for years.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, we're just not gonna be able to upgrade it like we had hoped to. So it was mainly just kind of some student behavioral issues where there was too many doors, to a space to where now they had a lot of exits out. And it's a little bit easier to have at least de-escalation areas and restrict some access so that way they're not interrupting other spaces as well, so.
Are you expecting any noise or disruption of the day-to-day student experience because of the construction?
Well, we hope not. We have informed them,
Oh, yeah.
not that they always
Adamantly.
listen, as Tim has noticed, that they're not to do any of the loud work during the school day. The temporary wall is sheetrock with a steel stud and also it has insulation
Okay.
to help with noise. But it's supposed to be all more of the quiet work. Anything that's dust intense or loud is gotta be after hours or weekends. We're not making it convenient for them because they haven't made it convenient for us.
And the truth is that we've been adamant with that message.
We started that message over a month ago.
We did.
Saying, hey,
Yeah.
you're not
Once
gonna
you
get this
hit
done
this
on time,
date-
these are gonna be the implications.
Exactly. And also like safety protocol with badges, everything as far as the workers go, we've got a game plan in place. Like I said, these gentlemen have worked really
the
hard.
casual is out.
That's correct. It's in place. It's in place, and they
So-
have to follow that. So excellent
I'll be moving my office over there next week.
I have no doubt.
It's pretty much been his office anyway, so,
Yeah. So,
all right. Thanks, TJ.
Thanks,
TJ.
TJ.
Just a couple of negotiations. Obviously, we're going to have a closed negotiation session for some negotiations process here. But also the referendum update. We have been meeting with the Communications Committee. We've got some good communications information campaign going out. Presentation today I gave to the teachers seemed to go well. It wasn't a give and take type presentation, so they basically had to listen to me. But I thought it went fine. But it's the presentation, a variation of the presentation that I gave to some associations prior to.
Did
So
you give that to all staff then today?
I gave it to all staff today.
Okay.
So they all have the same message, as well as everybody received a do and don't. You can and cannot do in terms of giving information to our community. And, wonder, the board should maybe get some of that as well. I will add that to my list so that the board is aware of the do's and don'ts when you're functioning as a school.
So they got a half a piece of paper
They did.
on their way in, and then
Yep.
he told them also.
I told them to read it. I basically
Yeah,
did.
but you talked to them.
I did talk to them about the do's and don'ts. But generally speaking, the last, and committee chime in, the last communications committee meeting we met, we had a great discussion around possible days and events that we should be present at, whether it be just as a table or a rep. For example, tomorrow evening, we have open houses. I'll be at Indy, Ashley will be at middle school, Amber will be at the high school, and we will be at tables, handing out information and talking to people as they walk through. That's just an example of other events. We've got some coming up here. And on top of that, because of the early voting opportunities, we also talked about specific dates in which we should extend those voting opportunities, because it's going to be open during the workday, normal workday. But this is times beyond that, outside of the workday. Say, for example, if there's a big event going on in the evening, we would stay open till, say, 7:15. Or on Wednesdays, and it's pretty consistent through this window of time. Since Kim and I are already here on Wednesdays usually anyway for board meetings, we'll just keep it extended so that our community can access it outside of the normal workday as
So
well.
like a homecoming game or something?
Correct, yep, exactly, that's another example as well. And then I also had Mark Queasley look through and if there were like some double headers, whether it be volleyball and swimming, or open late that night as well. So if there are people that want to vote, they can come and vote during those evenings as well. So I will say this, we may need some help with some coverage at some of these tables. I will go week by week, instead of just giving you a huge list, I'll go week by week and talk about if
That
we
would be
need
great.
coverage. Because I know I can only go out a couple weeks on my own personal schedule.
Right.
But I think, just know we are doing everything we possibly can and being visible and getting that information out there. So I appreciate the communications committee work, and also Stephanie and her team done really a great job of getting things kind of pulled together and reining us in and doing that whole piece. But know that I will be communicating with you through my weekly. My general little signal is if it's in a different color, blue or red, it means you need to really pay attention to it or respond to me. That's my little signal to you as board
Okay.
members. You got that?
Yeah, we got it
Perfect.
now.
All right, read that, Annette. So, so
And I'll tell them all too.
there you go. There you go. So, yes. Anything else from the communications committee? Did I miss anything?
I think we got a good draft done, and we have a good team at the school, so moving forward in a good direction.
Stephanie and Morgan have been working diligently and doing a great job, and the flyers will be going out to all the members of the community. So everyone in the district has an opportunity to learn about this through their mail. So I think that
Mailer.
that's important just to put out there that everyone is getting notified of this in their home mailboxes, and that goes out next week. Is that correct?
The postcards are next week.
Postcards are hopefully today.
Oh,
Okay.
yes, that's right. Yeah,
Okay.
That is next week. Yeah.
Okay.
The special mailer will be September 23rd.
So they'll have two opportunities. So even if they're not attending a school event, to learn about it, they'll have two opportunities.
I think the mail helps a lot.
So, so I think it's been a good group. We're moving right along, progressing. I also I attended the Housing Study Action Forum at the county today, but I think what I'm going to do is they're going to send us the notes and everything, and I wrote down a couple bits of information that I thought was really interesting. The one I'll just tell you. They are anticipating in the next 5 years a 10% increase to our population
Within Sherburne County or
within
within
Sherburne
St. Clair?
County.
Within Sherburne County,
So what that equates to, and now granted, we have other cities and communities,
Right.
but I know they are anticipating some definite growth and housing needs. So what I will do is I will gather, they're gonna send us a summary of our discussions and whatnot, and I will make sure I talk about that next month. So I'll save you all of me trying to understand my writing.
When is this 94 supposed to be fixed?
I have no idea.
Because, I seriously.
94?
Yeah,
The bridge or
because I mean, I wouldn't move out here if you
Oh, on
drove
the
it right
interstate?
now.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't know. I,
Big Lake's a hot commodity right now. If you're selling a house in Big Lake, it's a good time. So I don't think like people deciding to live out here is an issue.
yeah, I don't know about the construction.
It's because of the school.
It,
Yeah,
it-
that's what I
it
heard.
is. Yep, we make sure we capture that one. It's because of the school. Uh, All right, I'm gonna keep us moving here. From around the district, I just wanna say thank you. I stole this from my welcome back speech today. Food service had a great breakfast this morning for all of our staff. Grounds and maintenance did a wonderful job of keeping things clean, making sure we're all good to go. Floors are shiny. Everything looks great around the district. Really proud of the work that they've done. Also want to say thank you to the district office staff, building admin assistants, administrators, childcare, tech team, PD teachers, community ed, because they all work throughout the summer, and they are what kind of sees us through during that gap. So I just want to say thank you to all those individuals. And I want to draw out some special attention here really quick to the tech team. I did this today during the teacher deal, but I also want to say this. I'm going to say it again, John, because it's true. When the internet goes down, we kind of go down. So it's the truth, and they do an excellent job. They do an excellent job of keeping us up and networked and working and all the stuff that I don't understand. They just make it happen. So it's true. It's very true. So thank you for that. And I tell you what, I have a ton of dates. I don't know if you looked at my last update, but we've got a lot of September dates of action and things happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this out to you later this week so that you all can kind of just compare and kind of do that piece. So, but I think we talked about that. It would be a lot to read, and I don't know that it all pertains to all of you anyway. So I think we're good. That concludes my report, unless, of course, there are questions.
Any questions? Okay, I'm going to announce our closed meeting for negotiations. The board will have a closed meeting as permitted by Minnesota statute section 13D.03 to discuss the Big Lake School labor negotiation strategies. I need a motion to enter a closed meeting following the adjournment of the regular meeting.
Motion.
Motion by Nelson,
Second.
second by Brown. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The closed meeting will commence in 5 minutes at